Hello! Today I want to share with you one of my very favorite Sierra trees, the Sierra Juniper. And excuse the voiceover because my audio got ruined because it's windy, because these trees grow in desolate, windy places usually. So you can see this one's growing right out of the rock. Its bark looks a lot like maybe a sequoia or a redwood or an incense cedar. They're usually kind of reddish colored, but grows right out of the rock. That's the deal with these trees. That's their survival technique. They grow where other trees don't want to grow. And here in the Sierra, I'm on the east slope of the Sierra. They mostly grow on the east slope. You'll see some on the west slope. They kind of like drier areas on the east slope. I'm in the Hoover Wilderness right now at the 8,000 foot level, and they go from about 6 to 10,000 feet here. So they're junipers, so they're scaly. They come in whorls of 3 on their scales. And kind of an interesting fact about these trees: if you crush the leaves or the berries and take a smell, it smells a lot like gin. And that's no coincidence, actually, because the word gin is derived from the Latin word juniper. So they actually use a different species of junipers for making gin. So what these trees do here in the Sierra, they grow on barren hillsides. You can see it's windy right now. And they take footholds in places that other trees aren't going to want to take a foothold in. Look at these roots just growing right out of these rocks. Sometimes they'll take on a stunted Krumholtz effect because of the harsh areas they grow. And they don't grow in forests of trees. They usually grow by themselves or with a few other spread out junipers. Again, it's a survival technique. Fire won't get to them because they're so spaced that they'll survive. And the cones on these trees, the female cones, are in a berry form, and they are a wildlife a food source. Each cone, female cone, holds 2 to 3 seeds. Wildlife eats it. This is the color they take late in the year. They turn this bright color. They almost look like Christmas trees. And they poop them out and spread the seeds around. Deer will eat them. Clark's nutcracker will eat them. Some jays and other birds. So that's how they propagate. They do have a very close subspecies called the western juniper, which grows in the arid areas of far northern California, Modoc County, and up into Oregon and Washington and parts of Nevada. And this is a western juniper. As you can see, it takes on a more conical form. They grow at a much lower elevation, around 4,000 feet and below. And they don't grow as big, and they tend to be kind of brushy looking like this. And an interesting fact, you see all the seed cones on there, the female cones. The western junipers tend to have both male and female cones, while the Sierra junipers, most of the trees either have all male cones or all female cones. So that's one differentiating factor. And I was just talking about how these trees don't grow in forests, but this is up near Bend, Oregon, in the Cascades, and can see they are growing in forests. And the reason they are is because of our fire suppression programs have been so successful that these trees, even in Oregon, were always pretty much relegated to rocky areas where fire couldn't get to. But now they're spreading into grasslands and are actually considered an invasive species because they're out competing the grasses that are naturally there. And the major reason they can outcompete the native grasses is because junipers, you saw the roots growing out of the rocks. They are really good at growing in arid places. And the roots up here on these western junipers are so good at taking moisture out of the soil that nothing else can grow around them. They take up all the water. So what Oregon has done is to create an industry for these. It's a kind of a budding industry. The wood of these, the way they grow, are very interesting and are beautiful. And these are some of the furnishings people can make out of them from trees growing in areas where they really don't want them to grow. But back to my beloved Sierra Juniper, just look at that tree. These trees have personality, and they'll talk to you if you listen to them. This one kind of reminds me of the bristlecone, and some of these do grow rather slowly, and they think the oldest Sierra Juniper is in the neighborhood of 3,000 years old. But some take on these gnarled form if growing conditions are good. This one here in northern Yosemite is a pretty large specimen. That's about as big as they get, about 100 feet tall. So depending on where they grow, what the conditions are, they all take on their own different personality. And here's one growing in the Hoover Wilderness, and here's another guy in the Hoover Wilderness. And what you'll notice, what they share is they pretty much grow by themselves. They're not in close to a lot of other trees. And here is a beauty. A couple of them actually. These grow right off of the highway and Highway 120 going through Yosemite at Olmsted Point, right near the lookout. So if you're ever up that way, check out these beauties. And here's another beautiful tree growing in the Yosemite backcountry. Just gorgeous, gorgeous trees. So, next time you're in the Sierra and you have time and you see one of these trees, take a look at it, crawl up under it, close your eyes, take in the smells, and if you listen close enough, I swear these trees all have a different story to tell. So, thanks for watching.